Toasted lavender, queer life poetry. Thanks for joining us. This is Toasted Lavender, a podcast about all things queer. My name is Alyx. Pronouns are she, her. I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Kai, he, him.
Lisa, she, her.
Lindsay, she, her.
Today is a very special episode because
Isn't it?
we're talking about a queer icon. I'm just going to say I'm not a woman, I'm not a man. I'm something that you'll never understand.
If that ain't the
Amen.
way.
There it is. We're talking about Prince today. I always have a lot to say about
Are those
Prince.
really the lyrics?
Yeah, those are the lyrics.
But then there's also I'm
And
not
I Would
your
Die for You.
lover, I'm not your friend. Or am I just
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
you're thinking of a different verse, but you're right in
Yes.
that same
Okay.
section.
Yes.
Yes, you're right on. You're
all
right
right.
on.
All right.
Yes. Are you ready to hear about the life and art of Prince?
Am
Yes,
I
that's a
ever?
Great teaser, but we also have to talk about the beer we're drinking.
Okay, I guess we can talk about the beer.
Well, god damn it, beer.
Sorry.
Okay,
This is how it goes.
we're sharing a very special beer
It is
for this
special.
very special episode. It's called Southern Gentleman by Raleigh Farmhouse Ales.
They're our friends now, so
We're-
cheers.
Shout
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and call them on into my friend circle. So
All right.
Yes.
cheers
Raleigh.
to them.
This one is melon enhanced.
Enhanced. Does
It's-
it say that?
No.
Oh.
In
Um,
Alex's words.
I thought it said
Enhanced
melons.
melons.
Well, it says Southern Gentleman dash melon. So I assume that they have other varietals.
Gentlemen.
A lot of gentlemen's.
Different gentlemen.
It's a Chardonnay barrel-aged golden sour with local grits on Tuscan cantaloupes.
Grits?
Oh my
That's what it says.
god. That is fancy.
So we've had this bottle. We tried it down at Raleigh at their brew pub.
Yeah, this is how we're going to talk about Santa Fe in this episode.
Yeah.
we gotta
Because
tie it
we
in
gotta
anytime.
throw it in
Mexico.
every time.
But we liked it so much that we bought a bottle, even though it was quite expensive.
I think it was like $400.
Oh,
It was
wow.
it was between $10 and $400.
So what is our occasion? It's the Prince episode?
It's the
That's why
Prince
we get to
episode.
drink this beer?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's reason enough.
Celebrating
Okay.
Prince.
I really like this beer. It's like sour and tangy and fruity.
I feel like you really get the cantaloupe flavor, which is
Mhm.
nice.
You don't get like flavor like cantaloupe very often.
What's a Tuscan cantaloupe?
It's just a cantaloupe.
It's grown under the
Apparently-
Tuscan sun. Okay.
Kai, I want to know your opinion.
Under
where
the blood red
you
Tuscan
don't like
sun.
cantaloupe.
I don't
Not a
like cantaloupe.
fan.
It's mostly cheers. Cheers everybody. Sorry we didn't
Cheers.
cheers. This is very cantaloupe-y. I will
Mhm.
say that, but I really like it. I feel like sometimes cantaloupe has that like it's so sweet that you smell it and it like smells rotten almost because it's
Mm.
like
Oh,
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's and to me like cantaloupe is always overripe.
Mm.
Like it always just smells like that weird funk.
Okay.
Interesting.
And also there's the thing associated with it. Oh wow, I'm going off on a tangent about cantaloupe. I'm gonna just wrap
I
this
feel
up
like
real
Lisa
quick.
started this.
I'm so sorry.
But
What? There's a thing
He feels
about
very
cantaloupe?
strongly
yeah,
about
like in the
cantaloupe.
restaurant industry, it's like it's like a hazard food. If you like take your food handler's permit test and all that, like cantaloupe is one of the most hazard foods for like harboring bacteria
Hmm.
and like
Do you know the reason why?
I don't.
It's because people don't wash the outside of their melons,
Okay.
and then you cut into it. We can talk about melons,
We absolutely
We can talk about
melons.
washing the
but you
outside
don't
of our
think
melon.
about washing your melons, right?
Right. Right.
And then
And then
the
you cut
knife
into it, and the knife brings the
cross-contaminates.
bacteria in it, and you're never
Mm.
gonna cook it. Like, so the bacteria can just sit on the fruit.
Okay.
And
Well, Now I know.
Makes
Wash your
sense.
melons.
Wash your
people.
melons, everyone.
So that being said, I
PSA.
just went on a giant tangent about melon washing, but I really like this
Why?
beer. It's not too cantaloupe. It is very melony and it's enjoyable. It's not like it doesn't give me that like overripe rotteniness that I get from cantaloupe.
Great. I agree with you 100%. I used to hate cantaloupe as well. I got over it. I don't know why. Maybe it's
I
like
feel
a
like I
cilantro
maybe
thing.
just made a breakthrough with Alyx just explaining the knife thing to me because I feel like part
that
of
what
my
you
issue
needed?
with it is
You're like, it's dirty and bacteria.
I see.
maybe I feel like
At a
that's part of
restaurant,
it.
it might be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, just
in
cut
your own
cantaloupe.
control, handle your own melons. Like
Mm.
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't
And
get
wash
melon
your-
from a
Wash
restaurant.
your melons.
Don't expect
please.
someone else to wash your melons.
Yeah, I think
Or their
maybe
own.
don't order cantaloupe
their
when
own.
you're out.
Yeah, maybe don't eat melons in other people's homes either.
Yeah, stick to your
We
own
will
melons.
we will
We have
always
strict-
wash our melons.
We have strict melon rules.
We can
going
eat melons
forward.
in this household.
yeah.
Okay.
Woo.
Any
Alrighty.
other melon puns that we want to make?
No, but I think
don't
I really
know.
am enjoying this.
Yeah, we
I
need
like
to rate it.
Sour.
Southern gentleman. Is Prince a Southern gentleman?
He's not a
He's a
southern gentleman.
middle-
He's a
middle America.
northern.
Midwestern?
He's a Yankee.
Is he?
Well,
If we're splitting it into
If we're
Southern
splitting it
and Northern
into-
and not Midwestern.
correct. I guess you could say North
Is he
Midwestern,
like Milwaukee?
Minnesota,
Minnesota.
Minneapolis.
Okay.
Close.
Okay.
I think it's really unique and delicious, and I would give that 4.25.
That's about where I'm at.
It's getting a 4 from me, but I
Okay.
really like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 4.
So I mean, we're
So,
we're going
whatever's
with the
in
good
between
rating.
4 and
Well,
4.25.
we're going with the high rating.
Let's
we're
bump it
giving
up
it the 4.25.
4.25.
Good job, Rowley.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Rowley.
Cheers.
Thanks once again.
So today we're talking about Prince.
Prince.
I wrote up a few things, so I'll just go ahead and read them. Prince Rogers Nelson is his full name.
Rogers.
So is it a combination of like his mom and dad's last names?
I think that his mom's last name is Rogers,
Okay.
so it's Prince
Rogers.
Rogers.
Is it hyphenated?
No,
Oh,
But his first given name is Prince.
Yes,
That's pretty awesome.
he's an OG Prince.
he was born on June 7th, 1958, which makes him a Gemini.
Of course.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I like Minneapolis.
Okay, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Okay. He is one of 9 children that his parents had,
I wouldn't
Whoa.
have guessed that.
and his parents were musicians. His mother was a jazz singer, and his father was a pianist and songwriter. They divorced when Prince was 10 years old.
Ooh.
Formative years.
Yeah.
During his adolescent years, he had a lot of friction in his family relationships.
Can I ask a question? Was
Mhm.
he the youngest of all the children, or
I don't think so, no.
okay?
He was kind of one of the middle.
Okay.
So he had problems with his family, and he would switch homes between his mother and stepfather, his father, aunt, friends. And it was mentioned that he initially moved out of his family home at the age of 13, which is crazy. He eventually, I read 2 different things. He moved into his neighbor's basement after his father kicked him out at 16. So I think that maybe he left home at 13 and bounced around and then went to his dad's and he got kicked out. He was on his high school's junior varsity basketball team.
Oh.
Shirts versus
Wow.
skins.
Yes. He famously loved basketball.
Interesting.
He's a little small guy.
He's my height. He's 5'2". Well,
And
he was
on there.
5'2".
Good for him. That's awesome.
He also played football and baseball as a teenager.
I wonder
However,
which one he was best at.
probably basketball.
He's a little point guard.
Yeah, probably.
Little Mugsy Bugs.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I never would have expected him as a sportsy.
You haven't seen the Dave Chappelle skit?
I have not.
Okay, that's your next round of homework.
Unfortunately, Dave Chappelle is a little bit of a controversial.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I don't know if
watch
I-
it for the
topic
Prince
right now.
part. Don't watch
Yeah.
it for the
Like,
Dave
can I
Chappelle
give him views right now?
This one specific thing, maybe.
part. He was trained in classical ballet at the Minnesota Dance Theater through the Urban Arts Program of Minneapolis Public Schools.
Wow.
So it's like a youth program,
Yeah.
like a city youth
Yes.
program.
So pretty well rounded as a teenager.
Super
Yes.
well-rounded.
And that makes a lot of sense when you like watch his videos and you see how he moves and like dances, and
He's very good dancer.
He's a
And, like,
very good dancer, yeah.
He's very
Kind
athletic.
of crossing the boundary of gender. Like,
yeah,
Ballet,
but it
yeah.
seems like there's a lot of like male figures from this time frame that were in ballet also that I think are it's
It was
surprising
kind of
to
less
me.
weird
Like
at that.
It was a little trendy.
I just think about Patrick Swayze and how he was a ballet dancer,
Mhm. And he was a
interesting.
hunk.
and he was
And
a hunk.
They're probably about close in age.
I would say
Swayze
they've gotta be
and-
close.
I mean,
Prince?
they've both passed away, but yes.
Well, I didn't say it for that reason.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like maybe they're probably
The
closer
same
in
generation.
age. Yeah.
Prince was a huge supporter of dancers and ballet in particular, and actually funded the Joffrey Ballet from Chicago in the 1990s. And after seeing this specific group perform, I think in the early 90s, he allowed the Joffrey Ballet to use his songs free of charge
Oh, wow.
for a show called Billboards. So if you know anything about Prince and how he handled his music, that you would know that that's a huge deal.
It's like next to impossible to get right.
and he just like gave it to
Well, it
these
was.
dancers.
well, it's all,
It's still
it
his
still
estate.
is.
Yeah, but he's on Spotify now.
Yeah, but it's still super hard to get
Yeah.
rights to his. Yeah, he's got it tight.
Yeah, and it was even tighter.
from the grave.
It used to be even tighter. Like
I believe it, and I don't blame him. I like
Yeah.
protect your shit. I don't blame him.
Prince was a self-taught musician who released his first album at age 19, and it was called
Oh.
For You.
He was 19.
Yes. This album was described as disco, rock, pop, funk concoction. So I had you guys listen to this album. For You was released on April 7th of 1978, and Prince produced, arranged, composed, and performed everything.
Well, that is so
All of the
impressive.
songs were written entirely by Prince, except for a song called Soft and Wet, which was co-written by a producer named Chris Moon.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm singing it in my head now.
How do you just like become a musician at 19 and like that blows my
Did he
mind.
have? Well, his parents were musicians. You said.
Yes.
Well,
so,
So-
maybe some connections to like,
I don't
get it
think-
recorded.
do you think he had like instruments when he was young? Or,
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes, he did. And his parents like pushed him to be musical.
Musical.
Yeah.
Okay.
He became the youngest artist in Warner Brothers history to produce his own album. And he signed a huge
19.
deal with Warner Brothers for a 3-album contract.
Back then, that's a lot of money.
Well, it's a lot of money, and it was kind of insane because he was unknown and unproven at the time. And Warner Brothers signed him for a ton of
He was
money.
known in some way. Was he just?
But
like,
still a brand
doing-
new artist.
He
like,
was
here's
just
a
like
half a
sending
million
out his
local-
demo tapes
Oh,
and
just
local
sending-
shows
Okay.
and like
That's crazy. So this was like his first deal, and he like got a huge
Big-
deal right out the gate.
And I saw this like web page. I think it had like a newspaper cover on it or like picture, and it's him like signing his contract and like shaking some dude's hand or whatever. And
Still
it's
a
like-
baby.
The
Warner Brothers
Minneapolis
signs
standard.
Minneapolis.
like youngest guy ever. You know, like it was a huge deal at the time. So all of the vocals and 27 instruments he played on this album.
Whoa.
27.
So he's just like a prodigy.
Yes,
Like
very
he's
much
just
so.
like good
He
at no
plays
matter what he
basketball.
does.
yeah, he plays every sport.
Yeah.
Every instrument.
He's okay.
Has
all right,
the
sorry, I'm getting carried away.
confidence.
I'm getting carried away.
He did acoustic, electric, and bass guitar, piano, synth, drums, etc. He also arranged the cover art instead of allowing Warner Brothers to control it.
Sounds like Prince.
Yes.
Good
And
for him.
this was the first step in creating the, quote, Minneapolis sound. So there's a whole, like, genre of music that came out of Minneapolis.
And it really
this
does have a
time.
sound. Like,
Yeah.
You can totally pick it out.
There's a notable distinction about this album in that there are no horns.
Oh.
And Prince uses a synth and a guitar to create the, quote, horn section. And this would set it apart from any other commercial album at the time.
Oh, so he like pioneered like some technique.
Yes. And he also was one of the first adopters of this very famous, like, synth. It's like
808s and Heartbreak.
No, I don't know. No.
No, fuck Kanye
It wasn't the
West.
Kanye thing. But there's like a very special synthesizer that came out at this time, and it was known as like the
Very special.
Harold number
synthesizer.
2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that became very popular because it was so fancy and special.
Okay,
I have no other information about it.
that's great. That's enough information for me.
For You sold approximately 2 million copies worldwide, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that accounts for his post-death sales.
Mm.
It might.
This is just like in real time.
But
This
so was
is
it
what I
considered a
looked at.
success at
At the
like
time?
at the time when it came out? Okay.
Stand by.
Okay.
In 1978, it charted on Billboard's Top LPs and Tapes
Okay.
chart at number 163.
Okay, so it was sort of.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say that Billboard has a lot of different charts, and they're all
Yeah.
named really weird shit.
Yeah, they do have a shitload of
It's
different
hard to
charts.
piece out what's like relevant and what's not.
Well, it's so like niche where it's like Billboard's hot Latin top 40.
Like it's very
and-
specific.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I see
Um
what you're saying.
so I will also say that For You was on Billboard's top black albums
They
at
had-
number
they
21.
had a Black Albums chart.
Yes.
Okay.
Do they still?
I don't know.
Hmm.
But there you go. This says that it wasn't considered a commercial success for Prince, and he did very limited promotion of the album because he immediately began assembling a band and working on his next album.
Yeah, I mean,
Foreshadowing.
well, I mean, when you take all of his other successful albums, I'm sure, relatively speaking,
Yeah,
it
This was a
probably
building block.
not-
it was. And
as
when you
successful.
listen to, when I come back to this album, it's very like funky and like jazzy kind of, and just like really low key. It doesn't have like that Prince electric sound.
Electric bassy, like
Yes.
consistent, like backbeat.
It's very 1978.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do you remember how it opens?
Yes.
The Christmas gospel intro?
Woo, woo, woo. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was very reminiscent of the Bee Gees.
Okay. Yeah.
I kept like that's what I wrote down in my notes. Like there were some disco things
Yes.
that felt influenced, funky. I felt like it wasn't as overtly sexual as I
yes.
associate Prince with. Like it was a little more cheesy.
Mhm.
And I thought that it was like the last track was kind of a glimpse of like Prince's later stuff, but
Yes.
like the rest of it didn't necessarily sound like Prince to me.
Right. The voice sounds like Prince.
Yes.
But the music is definitely like stylistically different than
Is this something
basically
you want
everything
us to talk
else.
about right
Yes.
now?
Yep.
Okay. I just didn't know if we should continue down this.
Yes.
For
I
You.
am done talking about For You in my notes.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I just remember when we were listening to it and the intro I wrote down and I called it a Christmas gospel intro. 'Cause
I
it,
love
yeah.
that description.
it made me feel like jolly.
yes, it's
It,
very
Aw.
jolly.
it felt very like Christmassy to me. I don't know why.
I love listening to this album when we're painting.
Oh. Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
just so like
It's like a good
just
vibe.
like working.
I'd like
doing
you to know we
something.
listened to all 4 of these albums while we were decorating like our Christmas tree and putting the rest of our
Yes.
Christmas decorations
Perfect.
up. It was perfect. And we
Good.
were drinking and we were dancing with our dogs.
Mm.
But I have never heard this album before.
Yeah.
I
I
don't think I've
it's
ever
not
heard this
common.
album before either.
Any of the songs I didn't recognize a single one. So it was nice. Thanks for the homework.
I really like it. I know that it's different. Yeah, I know that it's different, but I like how it's like disco and just kind of upbeat. There are some slow
The
songs.
crazy disco one to me is the Just As Long As We're Together
Yes.
song.
Yes.
I mean, and it's
like,
called Just As Long As We're Together.
It's like crazy, and it has all these weird little breakdowns
Yes.
of like, I don't know, I could see myself roller skating.
Mhm.
Oh,
There's a lot of roller
perfect
skating
skating
songs.
songs. I want to go back and listen to it again now that I know he's playing every single instrument.
Yes,
I
and
feel
he's like
that's
19.
fascinating.
So that album to me sounded like legit, like a 50-50 cross between George Clinton and Boy George.
Really?
Like I'm right in the middle of
Okay.
those two together, and I
Alright,
was
record
like,
store guy.
okay,
Yeah.
I am into this.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm
I like
into
it
this.
a lot.
And then it kind of like has that Cool in the Gang album, that 76 Cool in the Gang
Yep.
album Celebration that we just love.
We listen.
It's not called Celebration. It's great. And
But
some of
it's
those
1970s
70s,
disco.
yeah, but some of those like 1970s disco before disco got like
Popularized.
78 and 79 were like crazy.
Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. And so I feel like when it was coming off of the like bluesy funky or like fusioned with the bluesy funky and kind of coming into that disco-ness and not being so stripped away that it's just like straight cheese, which is what a lot of the disco
Yes.
becomes. Like it still has a lot of funky
Character.
compositions and character and
Yeah.
Come Together is the name of it. That Cool in the Gang album.
Yeah, come together.
All right.
It sounds like you enjoyed listening to this album.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's weird. Like I feel like I'm pretty well versed with Prince, but I listened to this album a couple times for this episode, and I literally had never heard it before. So
Baby, what are we going
Yeah. Yes.
welcome
it's
to
like-
Toasted Lavender Podcast, a podcast where we sing or
We
try to.
don't- Sorry,
We
we're
can't
not-
afford the rights to any of these songs, so we're just
And
going to sing them.
We'll
We
just reenact them
refuse
for you.
to sign up for Spotify's podcast thing, so we can't play any music.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. no.
You can do your own homework and listen to this album and
Yes,
your comfort of
listen
your
to
own
this
home.
album. It's like 35 minutes long.
It's worth your time.
It's a comfortable, quick listen, but it's very fun. And I really like that album. It's
Don't you know? Sorry. These are the things I wrote down. You
I
should see
know.
how I noted that one. But I knew exactly what I was talking about. Yeah.
He's
it's
very
just the
good looking.
yeah, I agree.
yeah, I agree.
I
He
just
is-
like
yeah.
that he's
Blue steel.
shirtless in like all these album cover arts.
Remember how when we went to the ballet, they all had
Yes, that was
naked
the
shoulders?
Yes,
Maybe
In the
that's
little
why he-
book?
Do you
Maybe
think
they're
that's why he did that?
influenced by
maybe.
it's a ballet thing.
Oh,
Could be a ballet thing.
That's gotta be.
Or
I was
maybe it's a
weirded
Prince
out
thing
by
and they were
their. I was like
influenced by
felt
Prince.
a little awkward about, and I don't know why.
You're like,
but
I didn't
felt a
think I'd
little
look at all
awkward
these
about
bare
it.
shoulders today.
I know it was like, and you don't.
Like,
think that
Shoulders
those
are
shoulders are
suggestive.
They are.
Speaking of bear, he's also writing.
A
Bareback.
unicorn?
He's riding a unicorn bareback.
Yeah, he does
Oh
not
my
have
God.
pants. He doesn't have pants on either.
He's holding a
Mm.
bird.
He's
that a bird?
Oh my god, that has got to be some sort of innuendo.
I'm gonna let everyone take a look and decide for themselves.
Okay, so now that we're looking at the album artwork, I want to talk about Prince's next album. It's called Prince. It's the self-titled album released in October of 1979. For You was released April 7th of 78. And this is October 79, so 18 months later.
Wow.
Again, it was written, arranged, composed, produced, and performed entirely by Prince. And it was definitely a more commercially successful album. It got to number 22 on the Billboard 200
Oh
chart.
wow! So it really jumped up.
Number 3 on the Billboard R&B chart.
Yeah.
Was it because I want to be your
Yes. Yes, it was.
That single.
This was the first hit single on the Billboard Hot 100. It got to number 11.
Mm.
And it was number 1 on Billboard's Hot Black Singles.
Again,
What the
do
fuck?
we know if
What
they-
are these?
The actual fuck.
Yeah.
And then
'cause
I
we
made-
need a distinction.
I made a note that said that all the charts sound like niche dating websites.
I love that comment.
I'm actually curious about that, like the black charts.
Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Was that every single
Why was
genre
that
of music?
necessary?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying, but also, like, before hip hop was like a big thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a good, like, maybe it was like a celebrated thing. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, let me just
Okay.
keep
There's
on down this
foreshadowing.
path.
Okay. All right.
Prince went platinum 4 months after its release. Is definitely different than his debut album. Maybe I said maybe well-rounded is a good term about this album. Like,
yeah.
it's a little bit heavier. The guitar is a little more like edgier.
Yeah. The
Like
guitar's
Bambi?
edgier.
Yes, and I'm going to talk
Are you
about
thinking
this
about
song.
Bambi?
Yes. Prince himself said, quote, "This one's a lot nastier."
Well, it sure
It is.
I agree with that.
Sexy
Yeah.
dancer.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wrote that
That's what
down
me
in
and
my
Blanche
notes.
were dancing to last night.
Yeah.
We did a little twirl.
Much more guitar heavy. The lyrics and subject matter are a lot more risque.
Oh.
He apparently determined that For You sounded a little too polished and wanted his second album to feel more raw.
I don't know. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
And so this was in 79 when this came out. Just putting that
Okay.
in your brain.
So he was 20.
Yeah, 2021 maybe.
Wow.
He performed I Want to Be Your Lover and Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad on American Bandstand, which was Prince's national television debut.
Wow.
Do you think we could watch that on YouTube?
I think so. I think I've watched a clip of it. And Prince is very strange.
Do you look like this?
Kind of, yeah. Like, yes, he looked like that.
That's some
But he had a
fluffy
shirt
hair?
on. Yeah, he had a shirt on. But
Probably
he
had
like
to have a shirt
The
on for
buttons
TV.
were probably like down to here.
but he was just really shy when he was talking to the host. I think it was Dick Clark, I think.
remember
Hmm.
And he like wouldn't reply to any of the questions
that.
that
He just didn't
the
answer.
host. Yeah, he would just
Didn't
like
quite
shake
know
his
how to
head
be
and like
on-
No, thank you.
yeah, he was very nervous. I can tell.
Okay.
Personally, I can tell.
I know.
I know,
Chris,
I know.
And I know when he's nervous.
After releasing this, Prince did a 10-city tour with his band, which consisted of a guitarist and 2 keyboardists.
Not the revolution at this time.
No.
And they didn't record with him, right? Because this one he also
Correct.
did all the music.
This was just like a touring band that
Okay.
he got together. So they promoted this album between November of 1979 and February of 1980. And shortly after this, they were recruited to open for Rick James
Oh, wow.
on a 3-month tour.
Dude, I listened to the Rick James Greatest Hits collection that we got in recently. There is some raunchy ass, like,
Yeah.
uncomfortable shit on there. Like, it is bad. Like, straight up underage, like, celebrating it
Yucky
loudly in music, like, really
Wow.
yucky.
Uh-oh.
But
Well,
anyway.
We can cancel Rick James. If we
Well,
want.
I mean, it's obviously it was a great opportunity, and they are kind of in the same, like,
They were in the same space.
yeah. Yes.
So,
unapologetic about their raunchiness.
yeah.
for anyone who's unaware, some maybe our younger listeners, Rick James was one of the biggest Motown artists at the time. So he was from like the Motown.
Could you go ahead and give
Air-
us a
area.
little Rick James?
Super freak, she's
Super freaky, yo.
Oh, you guys
Okay.
kind of harmonized.
Yes. I went low because I knew that you were going
Yeah.
I was gonna
You
go
know
high.
Kaya's
You knew I was
range.
gonna go high.
So this tour that they were recruited to open for, this was 1 year before Super Freak was released.
Okay.
So pre-Super Freak.
Which is interesting, like, he doesn't really have the Motown sound. He definitely
Right.
has a totally, like, funky, off-the-wall vibe.
Did they
But-
just sandwich him in that genre because he was
Yeah.
a black artist?
Well, he
Well-
was signed to the Motown label. That's
Yeah.
what it all. That's
Okay,
really
and
what
then
it
he
comes
kind of,
down
like,
to. He
evolved
just
the
doesn't have
sound.
that, like, Temptations vibe, which is what I
Yes.
think of when I think of Motown.
Yeah.
Very Gordy. Anyway, sorry.
According to Rick James, he and Prince did not like each other.
Oh,
Oh.
They
Maybe it's 'cause
clashed a lot.
Rick James was hanging out with underage girls.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and pretend that's what it is.
That's probably-
because I want to
well,
put Prince.
Or they
in
both
the-
just wanted to be like the baddest, sexiest motherfucker.
Is this problematic?
No, this
Okay.
well, maybe. He said that he felt as if Prince was copying his moves.
What?
It was a
Oh.
dance-off
Oh.
situation.
It was kind of a competition.
Yes.
No way.
That
Mm.
yeah.
I guess I need to watch more Rick James videos.
Did Rick James accuse him of that?
Yes. I put this in quotes.
Oh my.
In
Wow, Rick.
in an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Rick James says, quote, "I can't believe people are gullible enough to buy Prince's Jive records.
Jive.
Prince is a mentally disturbed young man. He's out to lunch. You can't take his music seriously."
Out to lunch.
Wow,
That
Okay,
is
Rick.
really
Like-
offensive, especially someone
Okay,
you toured with.
Also,
Super
listen to
Freaks.
Super
Come
Freaks
on.
music. Yeah.
Out to lunch?
Yes, this is
If
this is what
anybody's
he
out
said.
to lunch, it's
Yeah.
him while some machine makes Super Freak.
Is this is this like a Trump tactic where you accuse the other person of doing what you're doing?
Yes, I
That's
think
what
so.
it sounds like.
All right, so here we're gonna get uncomfortable.
All right,
Okay.
we're ready for it.
Well, here's where I make everyone uncomfortable because I'm gonna speak the lyrics to the song Bambi.
Oh.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm just gonna say that it's a very problematic song. However, it is a banger.
Oh,
It is a banger, unfortunately.
It's literally a banger, and it's a song about wanting to have sex with a woman who likes having sex with women.
Oh.
yeah,
like a bisexual woman?
No,
Okay.
Oh.
like a lesbian woman.
let me just hit you with these lyrics. I knew from the start that I love you with all my heart, but you were untrue. You had another lover, and she looked just like you. Bambi, can't you understand? Bambi, it's better with a man.
Yes!
It's so hard to believe. Maybe it's because you're so young. Yee. Or maybe I'm just too naive. Who's to say maybe you're really having fun?
Yeah, you are too naive.
Bambi, can't you understand? Bambi, it's better with a man. All your lovers, they look just like you, but they can only do the things that you do. Come on, baby, take me by the hand. I'm going to show you what it's like to be loved by a man.
Ugh.
Wait, Bambi, I know what you need. Bambi, maybe you need to bleed.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Those
Oh
were the
my.
lyrics.
This is
That's
icky.
it. That's bad.
That's
It's bad.
bad.
That's
It's bad.
icky.
He sounds upset.
Yeah,
At Bambi.
He sounds
Yes.
like he doesn't understand.
That's icky.
it's bad. If you just like listen to the music of the song and not the lyrics, you'll
But-
know why it's such a good song. Like, but the lyrics are so bad, like very uncomfortable.
But I didn't know those were like the bleed part. I had no
rapey.
idea. I had no
Uh-huh.
idea that he said that. And the way he sings in this song is in
Uh-huh.
a really high register. Like, and I
Uh-huh.
know sometimes he does that, but the whole song, he's
It's
like
very like
he's like clear up here, and you can barely tell what
Yeah.
he's saying. And then the song is a banger. Like
Right.
the
It's got
guitar
some-
part is awesome. Like it's a good
Yes.
song, and so you're just like jamming. And I had,
And now you're like,
I knew part of
wow.
it was like,
it's better with a man.
yeah, I knew that part,
Go-
and I'm
sure.
like, whatevs, Prince.
but it's worse than you.
But I did
think.
not
It's
know that
bad.
part.
It like
It's
reminds
bad.
me of my creepy cousin that I would like bring my girlfriends over, and he'd be like, "You just need to introduce me to some of your
Ew,
friends." Like, just
no.
icky.
No, I'm not good.
I don't know. This is all. We don't need to go down this road
No,
because
we're
we're
not
there.
going down this
I
road.
want to. I want to jump off this road.
And
Yeah.
if you just hear the lyric, it's better with a man. Like, my instinct was like, oh, he's being a little bit gay himself. Like, he's saying it's better with a man sexually with him. Like, that's
Right. Didn't know.
that's where my mind went when I was listening to this song. I'm
And
like,
you're
oh,
like,
he's being a little bit like gender bendy, like a
oh.
little bit gay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's like
Ugh.
Bambi. like this gal's name is Bambi. Maybe a guy's name is Bambi. No, but no.
No,
Because it's
that's
like-
unfortunate. Ugh.
All your lovers look like you.
Mhm.
She looks like you.
Yeah.
I think you said.
Nikki.
That's
Anyways,
not
so
great.
I knew that I had to just say those words
We
because
just
they're
had
bad.
to get it on out.
Please don't cancel me in the future because I said the words to this song. Because
You're
that's
teaching us a history lesson
So
right now.
This
should we
is
cancel
history.
Prince?
no, we shouldn't.
Did he learn his lesson?
Yes, definitely.
Are we going to talk about that?
Learning his lesson?
Yeah.
No, I
You're
just
just
feel it in my
sure?
heart that he learned his lesson.
Okay.
God.
Are there
damn
any
it.
other Bambi songs we need to talk about?
on this album?
No,
Not on this album.
not on this album.
Dirty Mind's a whole nother story.
So the only thing that I have to say about this album left is that this time period is the beginning of Prince's frustration with Warner Brothers. They were only comparing him to other African American artists, and his work was predominantly viewed through the lens of R&B and disco genres. And he wanted Warner Brothers to market him more as a mainstream pop artist.
I wrote down with this album, I felt like it sounded more 80s.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely like going into the groove of pop music.
Yes.
And it was like more dancey, more fancy.
You get like
Yeah.
that glammy, like loud,
Very
glittery
glammy.
guitar.
Yeah,
I can see
yeah.
him being frustrated by that.
And he had to sit down and like explicitly talk to the A&R person, the head of Warner Brothers Artists and Repertoire Division, quote, "Don't make me black." That's what he
Oh.
said. Like, he didn't want to be put into this label of like, these are the black artists and this is the music that.
He just wanted to be viewed as a pop artist.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's really all I have for today's little Prince lesson.
Do you care if I ask you a question?
I would love to do a question session.
I want our listeners to know your relationship with Prince.
Okay.
Please talk about your relationship with Prince.
Is
Okay.
this an okay time for that question?
Yeah, is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about with this specific album? And then I can talk about that.
I want to know if anyone asked him about Bambi ever. Was there ever a time where he like
Yeah, it was a very.
talked about it?
it
So
was
he-
just known as like the edgy.
no one
Oh,
confronted
he's so
him.
edgy and like
Okay,
And
It
that
wasn't-
song, like seems personal. Like
it's.
that's what I was
hella
saying.
Yeah,
personal.
Someone really did it to him.
I
and he's
guess.
like-
Someone was like, "You don't want my D?"
Yeah.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
I'm offended.
yeah. Don't you know what you're missing, Bambi?
But I think we've all met dudes who are like, "Oh, if
I know.
Just
and
had-
I,
this
if she had me, yeah."
I just don't.
I like
wanna
that we all went to
imagine
the
him.
same voice in our
yeah,
minds.
it's
We're like,
that voice.
Hey,
That's the voice.
I know, but I don't want to think about Prince like that.
I don't.
But it feels
I know.
That
personal.
song is
I'm
very
glad you brought it up.
problematic.
That's important
Yeah.
to
It's
talk about.
It's bad, and I
We
think
can't
it's
just
okay
gloss
to talk about
over
it.
the icky parts of the musicians.
But wait,
and
he was
artists
also how old?
He was like 21 when this
21.
album came out. So it was,
He was
very
probably 20. Couldn't
Yeah.
even drink yet, so he had to channel all of his frustrations into this song.
It was probably the first girl who ever turned him down.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what, Bambi? I hope you're out there and I hope you're thriving.
Well,
You're living a really
having
nice
the best
gay
sex
life.
of your life.
No matter what Prince says.
Bambi would be like 70 years old today.
Well, I hope she's having the best
Oh
sex
my
of her life
God.
in her 70s.
Who knows?
I don't know.
We're not here to judge.
Yeah, I think this was probably like the
Or
only
we
woman
are.
that turned him down. I would
Bambi.
have to assume. She had a good reason.
Absolutely.
She wasn't like, I don't like your personality. She's just like, I'm not into dudes. And he took that very personally.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And that's like, that happens.
Maybe
So-
he took it even more personally, where he kind of is like a gender bender too. Like,
Yeah, and he's like, what's wrong with
this
me?
isn't good enough.
Like,
I
I
don't
wear
know.
high heels.
Yeah, I don't wear a shirt most of the time. My hair looks like a woman's hair.
Wow.
But I
Alright.
also have a mustache. Who knows?
He has a lot
I'm
of things
anyone.
going
I'm
on.
everyone you want me to be.
Yeah.
But when I think about these lyrics again, it makes me think of something that like a 19 or 20-year-old would write out.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Just like
It's
like
so
super
mad
mature.
and like
Pissed off.
fuck
It-
you,
And you don't have
Bambi.
any
Yeah.
life experience.
Yeah.
It feels
at all.
immature.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's just blame it on immaturity. Because
Yeah.
I'm just having a hard time coming to grips with that.
I really don't feel like I get this type of vibe from any other song that
Well,
I'm aware of.
You would know.
Yeah.
More than me.
This is
I'll take
a
your word
unique,
for it.
yucky.
But you don't know of him talking about it at any time. Of
No.
anyone like grilling him
Calling
on
him
it.
out.
No, the only interviews that he participates in around this time, people are asking him if he's gay.
That's
They
a
just-
big deal in the late 70s too.
Yes.
Like that's not okay.
Yeah. So they just kind of glance over this like Bambi song and they're like, oh
Well, this doesn't
maybe
fit the
you're-
gay narrative.
yeah, it doesn't fit the narrative because everyone kept like asking him if he's gay or like how many close male friends do you hang out with? And
He's
I'm
like, I play
really?
basketball.
yeah.
What did you intend to talk about this on this episode, or is this like
I have a little piece to talk about
okay? Are
in the
we
next
jumping
episode.
the gun?
A
not
little.
jump the gun.
a little bit, but that's okay.
I'm kind of curious. Wasn't Elton John sort of big in this
Yes.
same
He was.
time period?
But he was also
White.
and
British.
piano man,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it was a very specific genre of music, and the
And
people
he
that
wasn't
were
super out to his audience. Like everyone in the
No,
music
he
industry knew
Yeah.
he was, but he
was
fans
towing the
didn't.
line. He was
He
kind of
was
like,
towing
but
the
he was
yeah.
still wearing like sequins and
Right.
Yeah.
feathers and shit,
yeah,
right?
but so was Prince. Was like
I
Well,
feel like
Prince was just
70s
completely nude.
fashion was
Yeah.
like
Prince
you could
had-
wear whatever the
You
fuck
kind of
you
could
wanted
be
and it
gender
didn't-
bendery in
yeah.
that time.
Prince had assless chaps.
yes.
My big hang up though is like the Kisses and the like 80s bands that were late 70s, early 80s where everybody had long hair.
And the super tight
Tight
pleather
pants.
pants.
Yeah.
And like
big heels.
Yeah.
how
boas.
come not
And makeup
everyone,
a lot of the time.
And this was kind of the
like,
same
that was
time too as
masculinity.
Queen.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was the exact same thing. Like they all kind of got away with this, and they were all married. Well, not Prince, but like Elton John and
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury were both married to women in the 70s.
And I know that this isn't truly the case, but I think the difference is that these are all like white passing people.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the other
Well, Freddie Mercury was Persian, but
right, but he's white passing.
yeah,
I mean
he's not.
Yeah.
I understand that he wasn't white, but
Yeah, he was white passing for sure.
the other artist that I want to bring up is David Bowie.
Oh.
David Bowie
Mhm.
released an album, and now I don't remember the name of it, but on the cover of it, he's wearing a dress. And it came out just a couple of years before For You.
Yeah, and it's is it The Man Who Sold the World? What? It's the alternate cover. That's not always the cover of that album. Yep.
The Man Who Sold the World.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's not the cover. There's like an alternate cover that is not him in a dress. So
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
here's the album cover.
Yes.
But David Bowie was doing gender bendery stuff a few years before Prince started
Oh my
releasing
God.
albums.
sorry. but-
Yeah. And I want to do an episode on David Bowie because I think that there's enough material for that. But
For sure.
I have never seen David Bowie with bangs like that.
yeah.
I
Doesn't
think a
even
lot of
look like him.
people. I keep driving this home, but like a lot of people don't. There's another album cover for that, and the
Yeah.
one where he's in the dress, which is like on the earlier presses, is like expensive.
Oh,
and
I'm
worth
sure.
money.
I'm sure.
Because they're not all. it
I'm
doesn't-
curious
it
to
has
know more
alternate
about
covers.
David Bowie because, like, I know he was married to a woman his whole life, but he seems so queer to me.
Yeah, I think he was bi, and he was kind of the picture of queerness throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s. But I think the problem was like, well, not a problem, but he was white, and like people accepted his like oddity, and
Quirks and
they're like, he's just a quirky guy. But there was this tweet that somebody sent out, and I know that I sent it to you guys earlier this year after Prince died. Somebody said that Prince was the like queer artist that little black kids could look up to, where David Bowie was the white queer face in
Right.
the 70s.
right. So there wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there's there's a void without that once
And
he was gone.
I don't feel like qualified to talk about, I don't know, queerness and black
The new
spaces,
black
but
queer icons, and yeah, we don't. I mean,
but I can recognize that that's the case.
well, and I can also recognize that Lil Nas X and like just being like proudly out and queer and like claiming that space and not even like just like proudly claiming that
Yes.
space, like that's a very bold and I'm sure scary in a lot of situations, and like hopefully a really good thing for little people to look
Yeah.
up to.
Well, I know Harry Styles is like on the cover of
Yeah,
magazines
and he's like
dresses.
Yeah.
he's the white
And
face
he's
of like
some
middle
kind
American
of queer
queerness.
icon.
Yeah.
Except there are people that take exception to what he's doing
Sure.
as pageantry. Somebody came out and was talking about like all Harry Styles had to do was be a white guy, and now he wants to be a queerish white guy. Like,
Yeah.
and I've been queer my whole life,
So-
trying to like make my way.
Is Harry Styles a queer person, or does he just wear dresses sometimes?
I don't know the answer to
Is
that.
that
know.
a different?
No
He
one-
hasn't
no one
come
knows.
out. He dates very high profile actresses,
Yeah,
so it's hard. There's never been any like record of him dating men.
I guess it doesn't matter.
just-
But
I mean,
also,
I don't
like,
know.
if you're comfortable enough, like, I see that, and I don't want to sound ignorant here, but, like, if you're comfortable enough in your masculinity to, like,
it was
Like,
Billy
that's-
Porter, by the way.
okay. that
Oh, okay,
makes sense.
interesting. Because isn't he dating Olivia Wilde now? Harry Styles.
What?
Is he?
She left.
Like a full-grown man for Harry Styles?
She left. What's his
I
name?
think he's full grown at this point.
Something
Wow.
Sudeikis.
Oh, Jason.
Jason Sudeikis. She left him for
Oh.
Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
Billy Porter is the guy who's
Pose.
in that comedy show
Pose.
with the red-haired
No.
lady.
That's a
I'll
different
Okay.
person.
Okay.
That's Billy Eichner.
Oh, I'm thinking of Billy Eichner.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
he's in Pose. He's like the leader of.
Oh,
ballroom
okay.
competitions.
Okay, well, you know what?
Super
I'm gonna
queer.
go ahead and say if Billy Porter says Harry Styles is shit, then I should just believe whatever Billy Porter says. So
I think that's
Well, that was his point. He's like, all he had to do was just be a straight white guy, and now he wants to like do this sort
Invade
of,
other spaces,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
and
But
obviously
if
Billy
he
Porter's already
feels-
been like a pioneer of like
yes,
wearing
Gender
Ball
expression.
gowns and not
Yes.
yeah.
But
okay.
maybe Harry Styles feels some like
well,
is on the spectrum of on the spectrum of like
Right.
transness or gender
queerness.
Or
queerness
somewhere.
in general. Yeah, and like
we're
who's
not
to
here to
say he's not
judge.
allowed to like explore that?
But and
Just
that-
be-
even if he's not exploring that personally, maybe he's exploring that in a role model type role where he has a platform and he's
Yes.
exposing people to things that maybe they would not be exposed to otherwise. Because there are a
Sure.
lot of pictures of him on stage at his concerts where he's like waving rainbow pride flag, right? And like, so I'm wondering like how much of it is him trying to take advantage of a platform that he has,
right, like bring people in a little
advocate-
further towards
right?
Acceptance.
like acceptance of all
He is a
with
very
whatever.
mainstream
But
Yes.
artist.
I can see Billy Porter's point where it's
Sure.
like you have the cover of a magazine and you're gonna dress up in a dress just to like be edgy.
Right.
But we don't
And
know.
we've been doing
don't
this
know.
whole
That's
culture
hard.
like this is like our
Yes.
yeah, I can see that. I can
I
totally
don't
see
like
that.
people saying I don't like that feels kind of gatekeepy too.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Oh,
queer
yeah.
enough to wear a dress. Like
yeah.
that's
No.
my thing. It's like
Yeah.
everyone
Well,
can
can't
be
we all
as
just
gay
wear
and as
dresses?
queer as they want to be. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that shouldn't take away from
Yeah.
And
And
also,
Billy
can we
Porter's,
strip
like-
away dresses from
Right.
women and suits from
And
men?
being edgy at all.
And if a
It's just a
straight
dress.
cis man is gonna wear a dress on a platform for everybody in the world to see, like to me, maybe we're getting a step closer to like
Yeah.
it's
We're-
okay for everybody to just fucking wear whatever they want.
right.
Have we all forgotten about kilts? Like, men have been wearing kilts
I
for
didn't.
centuries.
I graduated from Ben Lomond High
That's
School.
true.
But
like
the Scots.
We're the Fighting Scots.
But that's been a thing. Like, they're like a skirt, There's a flowiness
It's a
about it.
pleated skirt.
Yeah.
Cis white males have been wearing them for a very long time. And nobody thinks that they're less than a cis white male, like manly man, for wearing them.
Right.
Billy Porter, he's definitely done a lot of pioneering though. Like I know he's worn gowns to award shows, and
Like
he,
before it was even remotely
and he-
acceptable in any way.
he
shape, or
plays the
form.
fairy godmother in the new Cinderella. On the Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna
remake.
watch that just for him.
I've heard it's terrible,
I'm
but
sure.
it's really fucking cool that they cast him as the fairy godmother.
We watched him on Sunday morning a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
You made it in time for Sunday morning.
Mhm.
A couple
Well, I
weeks
think we
ago.
watched the
Just friends.
recording.
Oh,
We
you didn't
record
make
it.
it in time.
We
Okay.
record it. We feel extra proud when we wake up.
Well,
early
today
enough to watch it.
today we did.
Yeah, we
Yes.
were up early.
We
were
didn't
up
watch
early.
it, but we had it on.
It was on TV. Okay, so the question that you asked me earlier was how did I come to be in my Prince fandom?
And why you're the perfect host for this episode.
I first came into contact with Prince's music. I think I was probably like 13, and I flew up to Portland to spend Christmas with my aunt.
And we're talking Oregon.
Yes, not Maine.
Maine.
The West Coast Portland. We went out to this like little coffee shop and we had a little dessert, and then we ended up at this record store, and we were just kind of out, me and my aunt and her roommate.
Her roommate, huh?
It was her roommate.
All right.
Actual roommate.
Okay.
From what I understand, I don't know. But we ended up at this record shop, and I was still in the frame of mind of like, I'm gonna buy an album that has the explicit
Just
little
to,
label
like,
on it,
Because
like
my parents
fuck
are
you to
because my parents
parents.
won't let me. Yeah, somehow I ended up on Prince, and I purchased the album that is I think they call it the love sign or the love
Mhm.
symbol.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's still my favorite album, but I had it in my CD player, and I would like put on my headphones and listen to it that whole trip that I was up there. And it was like snowy and like rainy, and I locked myself out of my aunt's house during this vacation.
And you just still
In
had
the
your Walkman, so
snow.
you were just sitting out in the snow listening to
And
Prince's love
What a
symbol.
cool memory.
It was yeah, it was really fun, and I just like fully engaged into Prince. And up until that point, I was a big like Michael Jackson fan, so I was into like, I don't know, like
the same vein of pop music.
yes, it's the same vein. I also had a habit of going to Media Play and just buying a bunch of albums whenever I could. And there was one album that was like a compilation. It's the hits and the B-sides, if you ever see that album.
It's like the black cover with
It's like black and kind of like cream or peachy.
black and tannish,
And it's a like triple album. I paid $40 for it. I was saving up all my dollars to buy a guitar. And I had like $50, and I came across this album, and I spent
well,
all
fuck it, I'm
all the
not getting a
money.
guitar. I'm gonna get this Prince album.
And I just kind of like went off the deep end, and I'd go to the library and rent what I could, and I'd go buy all these Prince albums, and like I was all about it. And it was some of the music was inappropriate for a 13, 14-year-old. We've discussed.
Do you feel like it was your sexual education? In a
I
way?
think it might have
That's an
been.
interesting question.
Sorry.
No, but that's like a
No, I
legitimate
think it might have
question.
been. Yeah. I think that
We all have that thing that kind of like opened our eyes to like
yeah.
that stage.
Sometimes you don't even realize what that was until somebody
we
asks
not
you. if
talk
that
about
was your
that?
sexual
Yeah, sorry.
education.
It's inappropriate, but
Lindsay
that
is
is
feeling
that is like
uncomfortable.
an kind of
Like,
an
I
It's
don't
Scorpio
think I wanna
season.
talk about
it is Scorpio,
It's Scorpio
season.
season, dude.
Okay, so
I-
what does
You
that
can just
mean?
say yes or no. Like you
I
don't have
had
to go in
graduated.
depth.
No.
about it.
The answer is no.
If it's yes or no, it's no.
No. Well,
Alex said yes.
No, we've learned something
Well,
here
this
today,
is
honey.
this is Alex's episode.
It is.
No.
And you can edit this however you want.
Yeah, that's true. But I would say that it was, and like I was learning to be my own person. And it was Prince, and it was Janet Jackson, and it was Madonna. And
What
Not
better
bad.
education could one have?
Not
Right.
bad.
I think that's all I needed.
That was
I mean, I don't know.
well-rounded.
Yeah, that's great. And I associate Prince with you now. Like when I see anything Prince or hear Prince, I'm like, oh, like Alex.
Yeah.
This is like Alex's.
You've bought her some Prince gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we know that Alyx is a super fan.
And I don't even think that I'm a super fan. I'm just
well, when
in
you
our
see
world.
like a super
Yeah.
fan, yeah, it's kind of hard to compete with that. Though.
Yeah.
You're like the super fan in our what we know.
Orbit.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
feel like you're above average fan.
I think I could be, and that's why I really wanted to do an episode or 6 about Prince, because I just feel like he's a very queer guy. There's queer lyrics, there's queer
Yeah.
clothing, and
I feel like there are super fans who everyone knows. I feel like you kind of keep that on your inner circle, and you have to really know you to know you're a super fan, and it's more your breadth of knowledge.
Okay, but let's
About
be real.
him
You
and
have
the
to really
music.
know Alyx to know anything about
Or
Alyx.
listen to her podcast.
Or just-
But no, I'm saying like it's not like any person walking down the street just knows you're a Prince fan, but like because we know you well and we're your close friends, we know how important that music is to you. It's not just like,
yeah,
oh, I want to like wear this flag.
right. And whenever anyone's like, what kind of music do you like? It's always like, well, I like Prince. And they're like, huh, interesting.
What do you
I
feel
don't
like
know.
that says about you to them?
I don't think that there are a lot of people like in my orbit around here that I speak with or see on a day-to-day basis that would be like, oh, I love Prince. Like in the same way.
Yeah, that's
Well, and it's probably not what other 13-year-olds were necessarily listening to at the time.
I don't think so.
I was certainly listening to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But I was not listening to
we're
Prince.
also in Utah, which
Well,
whether any of us want to admit it or not plays a huge factor
Yes.
into
Michael
what your exposure is.
Jackson
Of course, Michael
was
Jackson
in the Jackson 5.
Right.
Like there's
that
a
was
whole
all very
build-up.
family friendly,
Yes.
and
Whole
we
build-up
all
to Michael
knew.
Jackson,
yeah,
yeah.
And I
for
feel
sure.
like at 13 I was listening to like Blink 182 and Green Day, and I wasn't listening to Prince and Michael Jackson. Like that wasn't.
I was just like crying listening to Natalie and Bruglia's Torn on my bedroom floor. So,
Well,
I
13.
had some detours off of Prince, but there's always the true north that I have.
I was very into R&B and rap at that
Oh yeah, you were
time.
listening to TLC.
And Tupac and
Yeah.
God, we all were on different paths at the time, weren't we?
Yeah.
I was pretty. I wanted to think that I was.
I
Pretty
have
tough.
nothing to say for myself.
You were
So
listening
can
to
I-
Avril Lavigne.
What? When did Lenny Kravitz come into the picture for you? Was that around the same time?
Just before that? Yeah.
Just before Prince.
It was before that. Yeah.
So you were exposed to Lenny before Prince.
Yes.
Okay.
I listened to the Lenny album that I really love. It's called 5, number 5.
Mhm.
I had rented that from the library and I took it with me on my trip to Yellowstone, which was in 1998.
I feel like Lenny probably like paved the way for Prince for you.
I think it opened that door
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I like
But-
that album now.
It's great.
So much.
It's good.
Just listening to it because of you.
I love it. Thinking of you. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say that we're out of time right now, and
We're gonna get back to this.
Do we have
There's a lot
a
more to say.
local spotlight?
yes, we had something that we wanted to locally spotlight.
So we usually do a little boo in the who, and we realize that we have a lot of people that are not here in Ogden, but we have a pressing issue here in Ogden that I feel like I want to blast out to anybody of our listeners that will listen. And this is regarding the Marshall White Center. It is a community recreation facility in the
Downtown Ogden?
I mean, yeah, it's on the west side of Washington Boulevard. Forgive me for not knowing, but it's in our neighborhood. Just a little backstory, like I did some work with the Diversity Commission with Ogden City for a couple years and have been working really closely with this and following it, and they started a new committee that was like a special city committee, not itty bitty titty committee, but a special mayor ordered committee for the Marshall White Center to focus on getting it back up to safety standards where they can get the pool back open and that they can get the building, just needs some renovations.
So are they closed right now?
They're not closed right now, but the pool has been closed for, I think, like 6. Like it's been closed. The pool's been closed for years. And they're not getting any funding. And the entire time I was on the Diversity Commission for 2 years, I felt like the biggest amount of resource and time we put in was to the Marshall White Center and what's happening with it. And anyway, one of the things that happened with it was there was finally a committee established to survey the community and like really get out there and talk to all the residents that are impacted by that center. And they spent all this time and money and effort putting together this committee, surveying
Wasn't it
everybody,
like over 2
going
years?
through, going through every neighborhood, knocking doors, like getting the survey results to see who used the facility, who was it benefiting, what communities, what populations, like what is happening here, and got this really great survey. And Ogden City Council is supposed to hear this proposal from the committee for the last 3 months, and they keep pushing it and they keep pushing it and they keep pushing it, and they won't hear it. They won't make time for the survey. And now so I'm getting so mad just talking about it. I'm sorry. But the city's basically trying to disengage and saying that they didn't get what they wanted from the survey and that they would like to do a new survey with new people. So spending more dollars, more hours, and do a new survey to find essentially the same results that they will not take. And it is my belief, and I do not feel that I'm alone, that they really would rather just have the YMCA go up in one of the east side neighborhoods, which is on Ogden's docket right now, to have a YMCA come here. And I believe wholeheartedly that the city council is wanting to put money into that and let the Marshall White Center
crumble
basically
away.
Go away. And I would also like to say that the Marshall White Center is named after a fallen Black Ogden police officer. So there's a lot.
It's just another level of fucked upness.
Yep, there's a lot on the table. So I just really want to tell everybody that listens to this, like, call the mayor's office, call city council, make your opinion heard that Marshall White Center should be funded 100%.
I played recreational basketball at the Marshall White Center. I mean, it was a part of my life when I was young. So
it's a great facility, and they don't only offer, it's not only like recreational stuff. They do all kinds of community,
like art programs and after school daycare and stuff like that.
Art programs, after school programs,
sports,
like
that makes
community
me
meals. It really is
community hub.
Yeah.
I feel like, it just makes me so mad because it's like Ogden City Council is doing an optical illusion right now. I feel like
they're being dishonest.
I feel like if you set up a committee and say that you want results out of this, and you set this up and you allow it to go for 2 years with people that love this community and that are super invested in it and giving time out of their personal lives to serve voluntarily on this committee and knock doors at any day, and then you just like disregard the entire thing because it didn't tell you, oh yeah, we should just shut that down, nobody cares about it.
It's so like everybody's like, I'd love to
we get
go
what we want.
And the committee, city council is just like, well, we would really rather not spend the money.
Yeah, we'd rather you say you didn't want to go, and
that sucks.
Yeah, so
and we're not going to name names, but we know people on this committee, and they feel like they've gotten a big old fuck you from the city, and that sucks because they've spent all this time doing this volunteer work. They're not getting paid, and they're just like, cool. I'm glad that I like
wasted my life.
I'm like doing my civic duty, and like it's not what they wanted to hear because it's not benefiting the rich side of town.
That sucks so bad. I spent a lot of, like, almost every day my brother and I would walk down to the rec center. I didn't grow up around here, but where I did grow up, my community's rec center, we would go down there almost every day in the summertime and go swimming and like we would buy food and candy and like just a whole
Spend the whole day.
smorgasbord of items, and somebody was watching us.
So,
like
yeah, if you have a double
was a safe
working
space.
if you have a
Yes.
double working parent or a single parent, or if you like any situation, like your kid is going to a community
Yes.
establishment where they're going to be engaging with other people and they're going to be
well, and I think I might have been like maybe 10 years old. My brother would have been like 6. So we were left home alone all day, and we'd like do our chores, and then we go down and go swimming all day.
Yeah.
And like it was kind of a free babysitter situation. They had to pay, my
right.
parents
They
did,
pay
but-
your membership or your daily admission fee. Or
and
whatever.
if I just have to pay like an extra $3 in taxes every month so that little kids can have the same opportunity, I will do that. Like,
And
there's no problem at
We
all.
don't need a YMCA on the east side of town. We
No.
don't need that. The east side of town doesn't need any other fancy
But that's-
amenities. Like we have a really great facility right there.
But can
Can't
there
we
also
just...
not just be both? Like, you can have the rec center, and then the YMCA can come in and use all of their many billions of dollars that they have.
Sure, that's fine with me as long as Ogden City isn't putting any money towards
But
it, which
yes,
they're
they're
going to put their
wanting
money
to.
there
But
instead
why?
of the facility.
And that's the
that we
thing
already
is,
have.
like, the rich kids on the Upper East Side don't want to take their kids down to downtown Ogden into
Yeah.
the quote ghetto
Yeah.
because they'd rather have it come in and serve their population and keep the poor people out of it.
Well, and if it was me, like 25 years ago, my 10-year-old self couldn't walk an extra 5 miles to get to the pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the pool is like maybe a mile from my mom's house, but like I couldn't imagine walking further than that as a
Yeah.
youngster, and you shouldn't expect anyone else to. Like, that's just crazy, and that makes me upset.
Yeah, it's really it's felt like a slap in the face, and it to me, like, the biggest thing is it's like, okay, Ogden City Council, like, put your money where your mouth is. You say you're diverse and you say you're investing in these other communities.
In the
Like,
community.
this isn't just for white people that live on the east side of town. Like, we have to invest in the neighborhoods and the resources of the neighborhoods that don't.
So what are the actual goings on right now? Like, do we know, like, when there's some sort of vote or, like, some sort of, like, decision to be made? Or
Are we calling the mayor's office to like try to persuade them to vote on it?
So today there is a Zoom meeting happening, which will be too late for our listeners, but
Mhm.
to get information, there's quite a few people within the community who are giving out information today.
Many of which were on the
Committee.
original
Committee,
committee
okay.
that's being totally disregarded.
Tuesday, November 9th,
Uh-huh.
which also is before the time this is released.
Probably.
They're supposed to be doing
That's when it's supposed to be on the agenda.
to be heard, but they're not allowed to receive comments
right. It's
It's
and
just
it's like
a
at 3
presentation.
o'clock in the afternoon or
when
something.
no one can fucking meet there.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to slide one over.
So who knows? It might be like postponed again multiple times. We don't know.
But there are no
Sucks.
comments either
There's no public comment at that meeting,
at the 3 p.m. meeting,
which is
or
why
whenever it is.
which is why I'm encouraging, like,
Make a ruckus.
make a ruckus.
Call Ogden City.
Is that the
email-
end all be all?
No.
Is
It
there
won't
gonna
be
be
the end all
another-
be all.
They'll
It
probably
will not be
postpone
the
it
end all
again.
be all, because this conversation has been the top priority of everything that I was a part of the entire 2 years that I was on the
Wow.
diversity
That's
commission.
insane.
And it's
They're wasting a lot of
and
people's
that's
time.
that's
Yeah.
what's frustrating. That is what is so frustrating, is it's like you appoint a diversity commission because you want the input, and you appoint a Marshall White Center commission because you want them to go out and do the foot traffic and do the work. But the problem is, if you have all these committees, commissions, whatever, doing this work, and they come back and report to you, and you don't make a space to listen and actually, like, grow from that and go forward based on what you learned from these commissions that you appointed, why the fuck do you even have a commission?
Well, and to me, it makes sense. Like, this building's been there for a long time. Like I said, I played rec, like city rec basketball and like comp basketball at the Marshall White Center.
This was like the basketball place.
It was a basketball place. And it's been there for a long time. And you already have the building. Like, the bones are there. Like, why are we...
Let's invest in our community.
Yeah, why do we
like,
need... Why
Instead
do we
of
need
building
to do
a new
something-
facility from some giant ass huge
conglomerate that's been around forever? Like, just
Invest in your own community.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
That is the duty of like local government. Is it not?
what we're
Like,
supposed
that
to
is
be
the duty
doing.
of local government. Yes.
put money where it helps people, and a
in your
community rec
community.
center.
I don't
helps
know. If you
people.
take me to dinner, I might change my mind.
Well, I know
There-
this about you.
There are a lot
Oh,
of...
damn.
So this is the thing too, is they've been tabling it and tabling it and tabling it until the election.
Yeah, they just wanted to wait
Yeah.
until the election was
And
over.
then the
I'm
election
sure.
results come in, and then they're just like, fuck you
Oh,
guys.
cool. We're all still
Yeah,
in
we're
the
not
club.
doing it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
Fuck
want
that.
it to like affect them still being in office, but that seems even more shady.
Call
is.
those fuckers out. Every
Oh,
single
fuck
one of them.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
We've been toasted. We've done some roasting, and now we're gonna ghost. Is that
Roasting?
how it
Yeah,
works?
we've
don't
done
know.
some toasting,
I didn't know where
roasting,
you were
and now
gonna
we're
go.
gonna ghost.
I was just looking for words that
I
rhyme.
gotta pee again.
Oh my god.
So,
Okay.
this has been Toasted Lavender Podcast.
We're here. We're queer, and
We're always drinking beer.
we're drinking beer.
Check
Well,
out our
I mean,
Patreon.
Yeah, we have
Music
a Patreon.
by Cop Kid.
Don't they have something coming out?
They just released a cover of Lucky by Britney Spears. That's
It's
fucking
good.
dope.
When was that?
Like
was
this
last
week.
week.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Okay, I thought it
Marnie,
was
shout
they
out.
were. I thought they were releasing it next week.
No, it's
No,
out.
It's out, and it's
dope.
good.
Shit. Okay.
So relevant too if you're into the Free Britney.
Free Britney.
movement.
Free Britney.
And she
Good night.
Is there something missing in my life? Then this tear coming night.
Thank you guys. That was good.
Oh shit.
Do you guys know his song Watermelon Sugar?
Yes.
Do you
I'm
know what
aware of
that
it.
song's about?
Is it about
I think so.
love?
Lickin' pussy.
No, it's not.
Oh, Lindsay just had to set her glass down. Excuse me, it's about
This
what?
is a family show, Lisa.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
We have an
not.
explicit
It's not.
rating.
This is not a fucking family show.
Oh my god.